The first thing I basically did when I was told that, or put it this way, I had the impression that I was going to be going in for surgery number 3, and this was the same surgery the 3rd time, I was like, whoa, okay, hang on. What is it that I can do? Like, what are the questions I need to ask myself in order to get to somewhere a little bit different? Like, what is it I know at the moment? What is it I don't know? Who is it I know? Who do I not know? Like, where do I need to be looking? What do I need to be doing? So basically asked myself some really, really important questions. And then with the answers to those questions, I ended up getting really curious about what was within my control. So the thing about health is that it's not always within our control. Lots of it isn't within our control. In fact, most of life isn't within our control. But it was about what I could do that was within my remit. So I basically asked myself, okay, in terms of those questions I've just asked, what is it that I can do? What is it that I have some influence over? And then partner to that being, I think, accepting of the fact that there was stuff I wasn't going to be able to control. And for someone who's very outcome and goal driven, that's really difficult, because when you're doing a lot of the time, it's really hard to accept that the result is not a direct it doesn't speak directly to exactly what you've done. And I had to realize, actually, I've got to do all this stuff, or I've got to put all this effort in, and accept that actually it may not bring me exactly what I want, but the reward is in the process of doing it. So really quick summary as we're going through, I started asking myself lots of different questions. I got really curious with those questions, and with the answers it became, what can I control, what is within my remit, and what is not within my remit anymore. And then once I kind of had a bit of a firmer standing in terms of understanding where, as I say, like what was within my remit, I was introduced to kind of what I call external changes. So what were the changes I could make outside of me that were going to potentially affect what was going on within me? And these are all the things that we hear about a lot of the time. Some of them are more well known than others. Some of them have kind of become buzzwords. I'm talking about things like diet, as much as I hate to refer it to as diet, food, nutrition, that sort of thing that had its place. Lifestyle, or as I prefer, the way I was living, how was I choosing to live? Also my environment, and by environment I mean my external environment, so my physical environment, what was around me, what was I putting on me, and my social environment, who was there, who was I letting into my space. And then as I became more involved in all of these changes that I was making, I was led into a kind of a mode of thought, or I should say actually it was a community of people, a group of thinkers, which made me focus less on everything that was outside of me and more on what was going on inside of me. So kind of the internal stuff, the internal environment is how I'd refer to it. So I'm talking about the thoughts that were going through my head. I'm talking about the beliefs I had, whether I'd inherited those, whether I'd taken those on from childhood, when I was growing up, when I was at school, which ones actually served me, which ones didn't serve me anymore, and my emotions. So often my emotion, I find, is a result of the thought and is a result of the thoughts and beliefs going through my head. And when I realized actually how impactful this was, not just upon kind of my mental health, but my physical health as well, I thought, wow, maybe this is even more important. Maybe the internal changes, what's going on inside of me that I can't touch, it isn't tangible. Maybe that's more important than the external changes. Or, if you like to look at it like this, actually the external changes don't make a huge amount of difference unless you're willing to look at the internal stuff as well. And I came to that realization probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Then it became a question of like practicing consistently, seeing what made a difference, and then noticing how I felt in myself. And in answer to that, that's very, very different. I just felt very different in myself. Then it became, I felt very different in my health. So I was noticing changes in my general health. I'm talking about sleep, energy levels. I'm talking about, my gut, the way I was feeling after I'd eaten. I'm talking about the way I was breathing, like all that sort of stuff that kind of, you know, we talk about on a very general level. And then I started thinking, well, if I'm feeling like this emotionally and my thoughts are different and I'm getting this benefit on the level of my general health, could it be that my MEN1 is benefiting as well? Now, I'll be the first person to say, I don't know if there's any scientific proof or evidence out there that says any MEN1 patient can have an effect like upon the expression of that gene mutation. I have no idea scientifically. My experience of it is that, well, once I started kind of thinking differently about this condition, once I put those changes in place, once I had that awareness, my results were different. My results were coming back with different things. As I say, you know, that's basically led me to a place now where I don't have symptoms. No matter where my levels sit, I don't have those very common symptoms. And they're all very stable. The levels are all very stable at the moment. I haven't had to have surgery for 7 years. Some people might call that a fluke or a coincidence, or, you know, that's just tumours doing what they're doing. I don't know. I don't really believe in coincidences. I definitely don't believe in coincidences when it comes to health. So that's been something that's made me think about, you know, the remit, what's within my remit.